want to share with you a very important insight that I had yesterday regarding our discussions about dealing with critical comments, insults, and generally not being impulsive, being uh, reflexive and calm under all circumstances. We're studying here the Psukim in Mishlei, Yud Beis Tesvav, where the Shlomo Melech writes, Derech Avil Yash Beina V'Shemei Leitz Chacham, that the difference between the Avil and the Chach and the Arum, the person who is impulsive and reflexive, is that the reflexive person, he listens to Eitzah. The Shemel Eitzah, the Chacham, really, the wise person, as opposed to the impulsive person, listens to Eitzah. Now the question is, when somebody insults you, you might not necessarily have a way to get to a Chacham or to get to someone else to give you Eitzah, a Baal Eitzah. So what are you going to do? Right? You're on a bus, like I was at the beginning of the week, and you're getting hurled insults from a person who's coming around to check your cards, um, and I hadn't yet swiped my card because I was on the phone with one of the Gedolei Hador. And so what do? There's no Chacham around to give you Eitzah. And Shemei Eitzah Chacham. You want to be a Chacham, you want to be impulsive. So you have really two choices in front of you, or maybe three. The one choice to be impulsive, just to respond back. That's not good. We've learned that's not good. Your second choice is to try to find Chacham very quickly, but like you're under high pressure situations. So what are you going to do? The third choice, which this Kiddush came to me yesterday, is that the Chacham has to be yourself. Sometimes you just have to stop for a second and think and try to understand what Hashem wants of you at that moment, right? And the Eitzah comes from yourself. The Shulchan Aruch, the Rabbi Yosef Karo, had a Malach who would give him advice, and that Malach was his own neshama. The Vilna Gaon, in fact, had the same opportunity. He refused it because he was in Chutz La'aretz. There was too much tumah there. But we all have that inner voice, that soft inner voice, which is the Yetzer HaTov. So our initial voice is coming from the Yetzer Hara, and we can turn that off and then turn onto the Yetzer HaTov. How do we make that switch? How do we make that paradigm shift from the Yetzer Hara to the Yetzer HaTov? It's just to stop and understand that the messages we're getting when we're impulsive is from the Yetzer Hara, and to make that paradigm shift to go to the Yetzer HaTov, we just stop and think. So again, this guy's hurling insults at me that I'm such a terrible person because I didn't swipe my card within 3 seconds. I was on the phone with the door, and I just stopped and I said, "Eino Movado." I said it a few times because there's no hope under such situations. What am I supposed to do? And at that point, I got very great divine assistance, and Hashem just got him off the bus. And that was it. And I felt the paradigm shift. I felt the switch from the Yetzer Hara to Yetzer Tov. The Yetzer Hara to throw insults back at this person, and switching to Yetzer Tov, which is just turn to Hashem for help, because that's the only possible methodology to get out of this precarious situation. So this is most of the time, the Chacham will be the Yetzer HaTov, because we're not privy, most of us, myself included, even though I'm privileged to have a relationship with many Gedolei Hador. But until I get to them, until they're willing to speak to me, until I can ask my questions, sometimes it could be many, many days, or weeks, or even months. And Baruch Hashem, I have numerous Gedolim that I'm contact with. But even then, if I can speak to them, get a couple of conversations with Gedolim every week, I'm happy. But I have many, many other situations where the Yetzer Hara comes to me all day long. He's firing shots one after the other. So what am I supposed to do? The answer is is that Shemel Eitz Chacham. Shemel Eitz Chacham. The Chacham, right? The Eitz has to come from ourselves. It has to come from that soft inner voice inside of ourselves, which is the Eitz Tov, and that inner voice is telling us the right thing to do. We all know what the right thing to do is. We all know that when someone's insulting you, the right thing is not to send insults back, because that's like pouring charcoal, lighter fluid onto a fire. It just doesn't put it out. It just makes it worse. We all know the right thing is just to be quiet and listen. Hooray, 100 Averas get erased, like Olin Snedden says. Every time we listen carefully and we don't respond to to insults, etc. There's many, many promises for many great things which come from listening. Shomea lecherfa, right? A luvin ve'enin a lovin, right? Person who is insulted, but he doesn't get upset about it. So next time this happens, and it might be today, it might be tomorrow, it might be the next day, whatever it is, whenever someone, they don't have to like call you an idiot either. They could just say something a little bit disparaging. That's so nice. Yeah? And you feel hurt inside, like inner pain. The right response is just to stop and connect to your Yitzhak. And that's Shemela Eitzachacham. And that source of inner wisdom that we all have within outside ourselves, if you stop and listen to what they have to say, then that's like a very good place to be in. I believe that it was Stephen Covey writes in Seven Habits of Highly Effective People that he was giving a class about ethics and morality on a college campus, and everybody's screaming at him that it doesn't exist. And they said, I just want you to be quiet for 1 minute and listen to the deep inner voice inside yourself. And they all did that, and they were all quiet afterwards. Because once you listen to that inner voice inside ourselves, which is when the Eitzar just disappears in the quiet. So once you do that, then you're in a totally different place. Hashem should give us the greatest siyata d'shmaya to be successful in this endeavor because it's so challenging. Ezu Gibra Kovish Yitzra. The ability to stop and just quiet that loud inner voice, which is the Eitzara, and listen very carefully. Shomei le'eitzavachim. Listen very carefully what the Eitzar Tov is saying. Just stop and be quiet, listen to the Eitzar Tov. That's the incredible power that we have, each and every one of us. We should all be successful in this wonderful, fruitful endeavor I'm making.